Hello everyone, I am Vinay Krishna, having 16 years of software development experience. I am a programmer working as a Agile technical coach. I help team to in three ways: improving their code quality, improving their architecture, and improving their delivery. So, in that respect, I help them to adopt engineering practices such as TDD, BDD, CI, refactoring, clean code, and so on, as well as DevOps practices where delivery can be fast and keeping that quality in a good way. Other than that, in free time, I love to learn new technology and tools. I also develop mobile apps. Currently, I am doing my research in the field of software architecture. So today I am going to discuss on DevOps, the mystery behind this DevOps word. We will explore that and we will see what are the different version of DevOps are available and what actually the DevOps is. So I will start with one very long ago story. That is, again, if you look at IT industry, it's not so old comparing to other engineering stream. So that's what long ago is also not very long comparing to other engineering stream. So if you look at these two person, and that's what comes in your mind. Who are they? They represent two different groups in software development organization. And again, I'm not talking about at this moment DevOps. I'm talking about something which is long ago. Maybe you people have already guessed, but maybe it will give you a clear picture. So I was talking about a developer and tester. So are they work on the different goal? No, they work on the same goal, but their perspective is totally different. And that's where we find lots of differences or lots of conflict among them. Lots of time we as a developer feel that yes, testers are not able to understand, or testers feel that developers are not able to understand. And we find always the two teams actually having lots of resistance. But one thing is there, though their approach is different, that means developer always look at how can I make it, whereas a tester who always look at how can I break it. But though the paths are different, it's going to the same goal, right? They want to deliver something which is in a good quality, right? But as we know, still in case of these two different groups, there was a wall of confusion, right? And they always have some differences, right? And even if I want to add in this two groups conflict, I would like to add some more other viewpoints as well, other views. Who is this person? Of course, it's a person who is actually looking for some type of product, so maybe it's a customer. And there is another person from the software development organization who actually collects those information, gathers it, and starts writing specification. Normally, it could be a product management team or maybe the BAs, POs, whoever, right, who collects those requirements. And then there are two different groups. One is who actually based upon those specifications write the test cases. Here are the programmers who based upon specification develop the that application or product. All are having a different viewpoints, and if you look at common goal is a very narrow area where they are actually getting a common consensus, right? So wanted, tested, developed, specified, still are having a different viewpoints, and we are finding there is some very narrow area which is actually getting a same viewpoint. And what happens because of all these different viewpoints, different type of playing game or whatever, right? At the end, we find who is this person? The person is nothing but the customer who actually is having a lots of surprises. So what we have seen long ago that there are different groups who actually ultimately they are working for the same goal from the different viewpoint, right? Different path. And that's the reason, if they are not gelling together, it's very difficult to reach out to the same goal, right? And that's the reason 15 or 16 years back, if you look at, we got that our Agile manifesto and that four values and principles, where then we got lots of different Agile methods like Scrum, XP, and so on. We are already familiar with those. So the whole idea was work as a one team, right? So BAs, developers, testers all should work together as a single team. Again, that ultimate, the definition of the team is like whoever who can be able to play a role of in providing that delivery, right? That together, if they are working, called as one team. So I'm not here defining only these three roles, but yes, of course, whoever is actually contributing to deliver that value or that feature can be work as a single team. And then we have lots of different definitions: feature team, cross-functional team, and so on. And we started finding that now, if you look at 16 or years or 15 years back, it was very difficult to imagine that QA and developer, they are working as a single team, right? Now we have lots of examples, lots of experiences on that field, and we found that yes, it's possible. They are working as a single team, and there are various ways to collaborate it in a better way, right? So that is what we have learned so far. What I'm going to do is, let's switch, right? Because whatever I have discussed, maybe we have already practiced, or maybe we have already experienced, or we already know those things, right? So let's look at the another aspect. So what comes in our mind by seeing all this? When we see all, comes one word that comes in our mind. And if it's a DevOps word, then just look at this. We are not talking about just a tool. So DevOps, anyway, we are going to go through with that, what the actual meaning of the DevOps. But again, at very high level, what I would like to emphasize here, it's not about tools. It's about the culture. And again, it's not only about the cultures. It's, of course, to enable those culture, we need the tools. It's just like if you look at from our Agile methods as well, we need tools. But again, we value, if you remember that Agile manifesto values individual and interactions over processes and tools. So while there is a value on the right hand side, there is a value, we value more on the left hand side. So if that left hand side part is not there, it's missing, then there is no value, or maybe we are missing something. I'm not saying no value, but again, yes, we are missing something. We are not getting actual intent in that case. What is DevOps? So it's just a new buzzword in CT, and we also feel sometimes, oh, it was already there because we were using this. We were already doing that. We were working for the automated provisioning. We were working on the automated feedback. We were doing all those things quite well, but it's just like a old wine, and what with that with new label or new bottle. Is that the case? Sometimes we feel, oh, whenever we hear about DevOps, we hear about lots of tools, which we have seen a small glimpse in that particular slide, where I have just depicted a small section of those tools, right? So it's about tools. That's what the DevOps is. So let's use that. And if that we are using, that means we are using DevOps. Oh, so DevOps, whenever we start with, we start hearing lots of automation. So if you are automating those things, that means we are DevOps. There is another aspect where people feel Dev needs to do ops job also, right? Just remember sometime back when we started creating a single team where that both developer and tester will be there. There were a few cases where people started feeling that we don't need testers, right? And that's the reason lots of times there is a confusion. What is the role of testers in Agile or that long back? Though we have addressed that, still in newcomers, that question remains same. It means no ops. That is also there. And again, in context of no ops, there is I remember one organization where they have used that, but again they tried to achieve the state of DevOps, but it was they have not removed completely ops, but they have reached to the state of DevOps. So again, people have that doubt that do we mean that there will be no ops, only that devs will be there who will be actually doing that ops work, or people started feeling like ops should write the code as well. Rebranding your ops as DevOps. There is another thing. We started hearing now lots of new roles like DevOps engineer, DevOps manager, DevOps architect. So it's new skill. Let's start hiring DevOps and we will become the DevOps. That is another thing. It means daily 10 deploys, right? So if we are doing that, that means we are DevOps. Then another thought is like it only for startups and unicorns, not for the big organization or the organization who are having a lots of legacy applications, products, and they are quite matured also. It's very difficult to reach to these states. That is another thought. Yes, that is another thing. People feel that once we will get the DevOps, actually we are going to replace Agile. Or maybe some confusion is there. I'm not saying that it replace Agile, or maybe they feel that DevOps and Agile is totally different. Some people feel that, okay, it's a panacea for all my problems. It's a black magic. Let's get it and we will have all the problems solved. Then once these things came, DevOps, we got the tools also, we got the new role as well. People started feeling let's go for the DevOps certification to achieve the DevOps. Another thought is like DevOps meaning using the cloud. Then there is another debate. DevOps or continuous delivery. Continuous delivery is a superset. DevOps is a superset of that, and something on that line. So if we have any of this type of some thoughts in our mind and we correlate it with the DevOps, I just want to make it clear from my perspective, and then again with my perspective that is based upon that DevOps related that all references. This is not DevOps. What I was talking about is all these different type of thoughts for what DevOps, and again which I was trying to tell that this is not actually the DevOps definition or something like we can correlate it with the DevOps. Yes, of course, few things are required, but again if we can start with this thought process, probably we are not taken that actual intent of DevOps. Okay, so so the first and foremost part is collaboration, right? So if you remember, I was mentioning that Agile manifestos, first one of the values like individual and interactions over processes and tools. And if processes and tools are there, it does not mean that the collaboration is there. Even the collaboration tool is there, that also does not mean that the actual collaboration is there, right? So that is very important. And still, if those two teams, that is, I'm just now talking about these two teams like Dev and Ops, if those two teams are working as two different entity, right, and still having that not gelling well together, right, we are actually missing this collaboration, and that means again it's not DevOps. And I will even talk about, maybe that is in my later slide, where I am having some of my thoughts on DevOps word as well, so that we will just look at later. But my whole point here is, if the Dev and Ops, these two teams are not working together, the collaboration is not good, that means we are not DevOps, though we are using some tools. You can just understand that is mostly from the developer community, developers point of view. So if suppose I am using any unit test framework, right? I'm using any mock and mocking framework as well, right? It does not mean that I am using TDD. So if I'm using any tools to automate, right, it's doing perfect, it's doing well, right? But again, if we will try to say that yes, it's DevOps, perhaps we are doing something wrong. It's not that DevOps. Yes, of course, we are getting the advantage of those tools, but the practices which actually the way we can leverage that tools benefit more is not still achieved. Okay, so that's what my point was, that collaboration is missing, that something is we need to look at. So still, if there is a wall of confusion, like how we have seen between the developers and testers, they are not working as a single team for a same goal, right? Together understanding each other's strength and weakness, right? It's not actually that DevOps. So let's look at some of the origin, that history of this DevOps word, basically. So Patrick Debois, he was in Belgium, and in 2007 he was working somewhere, and he was with one of the government project in Belgium only, and he was a bit frustrated because of the conflict between developer and system admins, and he started thinking what could be the solution, right? And that time only it started in his mind. A year later, 2008, there was an Agile conference in Toronto, and there was one guy, Andrew Saffer. His session was on Agile infrastructure, he named that. Though that session was planned, it was scheduled, right? But there was only one participant, right? And later they have just posted that even the Andrew has not done that session as well because of lack of participation, right? And if you can guess who was that one participant who was interested in that, it was none other than Patrick Debois, right? Then because he was interested still to find out how we can do a better collaboration between these developers and sysadmins. So 2009, a year later again, that O'Reilly has done some conference that is on 10 plus deploys a day, right? And on some experience on the Flickr that they have done between how they can do a better collaboration between dev and ops. Though that Patrick was not able to make it out, he has requested them, can they do this similar session? And they have suggested them that he is free to do at his city. And then he started in 2009 later, right, after that O'Reilly conference. And he has named that DevOps Days. And in one point of time when the Debois has been asked in one of the interview at InfoQ also, why you have used that DevOps, he has told that because Agile System Administration, that name was too long. And nothing has been thought a lot on DevOps, because recently we started hearing something on SecOps, DevSecOps, and something similar to that. So that's what he has never thought a lot on DevOps. But again, that whole point is, if you look at in 2007 when he was actually looking for some solution, the problem was the better collaboration between developers and sysadmins, basically from the ops side. And that's why he has named this DevOps. So that was the whole origin of this DevOps word. And later they started rolling out this DevOps days in the multiple cities. Still, we are having in whole across the globe. Many cities are actually conducting this event. So let's look at some of the definitions from Wikipedia, which is having lots of references there as well. So what it says, DevOps is more than just a tool or a process change. It inherently requires an organizational culture shift. But Wikipedia says that it's more than just a tool or process, and this is like a cultural change where we have the different departmental roles. So if you look at the Dev and Ops when the DevOps was not there, so you will find that Dev teams are sitting into one floor and Ops teams are sitting into another floor, or maybe another building, or maybe another location, right? And they only having some collaboration when there is a release, or when there is some defect which has been actually pointed to the dev team. So that time some discussion will be there. Other than that, mostly they will be working in silos. They don't know what this team is doing and the other team is doing. And lots of times they don't value also each other. That was another thing. Right. Operations seek organizational stability, developer seeks change, and tester seeks risk reduction. So that is one thing. Getting these groups to work cohesively is a critical challenge in enterprise DevOps adoption. So this is some of the points which is mentioned in the Wikipedia. First, one fiction book on the Phoenix project, and it's really a nice one because it talks about the IT DevOps together, right? So it's one of the things which whenever we can get the time, we can just read it out. It will give us some of the understanding on what DevOps means, what they have tried to cover there. Similarly, there is a book by Jez Humble on continuous delivery. There also they touch upon something on the DevOps side. So primarily these are the two resources which I found is very resourceful, and we can look at those things to understand this concept in a better way. So again, coming to the DevOps, if we are doing the DevOps because of some skill, then again we are not doing some justice. It's a business need and not a skill. It needs better collaboration. Already I've talked about a lot. One team, one goal. So again, if you look at the complete DevOps, what we are going to achieve through DevOps. So when we are delivering value, right? If we can make that value stable, right? So we need lots of collaboration to get that level. Maybe some practices as well. How we can make that value fast, and if we can make that value fast, can we do it continuously, right? And that is the whole what you can say that goal of the DevOps is, if we can do it. And again, it varies because if you remember, I have tried to brush that myth, like if we are thinking that DevOps means 10 builds in a day, it varies from domain to domain. So if the similar things, if I want to do into the healthcare domain, it's not possible. Why? Because they require to be followed lots of regulations, at the country, different countries. So we cannot have that build on in production, even though it's ready immediately. Similarly, in banking domain also, it's not possible. Lots of time, lots of restrictions are there, lots of regulations are there which needs to be followed. But again, on those domain, again, what they can do, they can see, they can find out, can they shorten that? So suppose if it is of 6 months or 1 month thing, can we shorten that? Can we do something to get it done faster in a smaller chunk as well? Right, so that needs to be defined at that context. So it's a contextual thing, but again, the whole thing is, can we deliver value? Can we make it as stable? Can we make it as fast? And can we do it continuously? And that is, for that we need lots of different teams. And even in this case, there are some domain where we need that security team is separate, or maybe regulations teams are separate, which also plays lots of role, right? So that time we can include them as well. We can do a better collaboration with those guys as well. And that's the reason some new words has come recently, or maybe people started talking about like SecOps, right? So from my side, if you will ask me, then I would like to say that is, when we are talking about DevOps, probably we can just think about the security or any other group as well. If we can just collaborate those guys together, we can just find out what can be done in that case. And of course, to do it faster, to do it stable, make it stable, we have to follow lots of practices, and we have to use lots of tools, right? So what can be done for a better collaboration? So one thing is, like, when we are talking about these two right now, I'm just focusing on the ops and support group. So what they can do, they can start participating in various dev team ceremonies, like something on their retrospect, their demos they can do. In one case, what I have experimented, if any of their team member can go and participate in their stand-up also, not the entire team, but at least some representative, and can go there and can participate in the stand-up, just an outsider. We can just be there, look at that what is going on, and similarly, if somebody can from the dev team can also do that, right? Both dev and ops collaborate to anticipate ops sections on what will be delivered. That is another thing. Then what is happening because of this collaboration? Ops and support getting aware of processes being followed at dev teams. So they will be able to know lots of challenges, their limitations, right? Those things. Okay, so I got one question from Rajiv Patra, that we said that retro is for the team and no one from outside should be allowed. Yeah, of course. So I got your point. So that's the reason when we are talking about DevOps, that is one team, and then that ops people can also participate there, right? And yes, that could be the one step towards there, where they can start feeling that they are a single team. It's similar to that. If you can look at when we have that dev and that testers, right? Earlier it was two different groups, and when they started working as a single team, both of the teams or both all participants participate there. It's not an anti-pattern. Again, that's what I told you, that it could be that one step towards the DevOps, yes, and we can see that. And again, what my whole point is, we have to find out how we can make those teams collaborate in a better way, unless they will be not getting into a mode of where they can just speak and they can just look at that different perspective. It's very difficult. And yes, if you are finding in your situation that yes, it's going to be in a wrong direction, of course, always in Agile we have that inspect and adapt philosophy. So you can just look at, if you are finding that yes, it's going into a different way, and can we do it in a different, can we take some action on that, you are free to do that. But again, as long as you are not finding any difficulties, any issues with that, you can do that. And again, what I have put it here is related to some of the experiments that I have done. And yes, if you are not very comfortable with the retrospect, what I would say that what you can do, you can start with the demo, where that ops people will be also one of the stakeholders. They can also look at that what is going to be come as a new build there, right? And what are the things they need to be prepared from their side, right? Who need to participate? I hope not entire team. Do you mean there is one single team? Yeah, that's the thing which through DevOps we want to achieve, that one single team, right? And there is no separate dev and ops, right? With okay, so it's single team. I'm not talking about two different teams. So another thing is then that both two different groups will be able to understand their ceremonies, iterations, roles, etc., and all those things, right? So that is that, and it could be vice versa. So even that development team will be able to understand their ceremonies, iterations, processes, and so on. Okay, we can also start. Okay, so I was coming to that point only. Somebody has talked about planning or daily Scrum meeting demo is the right place. Yes, of course. There is one more thing. Maybe you people have heard about BDD, that is behavior driven development, where we try to make three amigos named as three amigos who are BAs, like business analyst, maybe the PO or product management manager, and then another aspect is developer and tester. They collaborate and they identify all the different scenarios possible, that is the expected behavior from the application or system for that particular feature, right? And there is a lots of different way to do that. They probe a lot that what if, and based upon that they write those scenarios. There is one common language being used called as Gherkin language. So, and I have found that it's very effective also, because from the beginning you are knowing that what is your features expected behavior, what are the different scenarios possible, right? So far in the actual book or actual the thought process BDD, which is given by Dan North, they have mentioned about three amigos: BAs, developers, and testers. What I propose, like we can add the fourth amigo called as ops, right? And what they can do, that also we can just discuss about in the next slide. So the fourth amigo, and from the beginning of that conversation, so then in that case, what happens? Ops team also plays a vital role in scenario discovery. So what they can do? They know the business because once that product is in the production, they know how it works, how the customer uses that, what the customer's expectations are, right? Based upon that knowledge, they can come up with lots of scenarios which cannot be lots of time possible from the people who are below that production things. So that way they can just provide their inputs in that case. They can such as like if the logs needs to be maintained, logs will be more readable, right? That is one of the aspect. They can also suggest that yes, this type of test, because even though the build is provided, that ops team do some type of testing also, just to verify that everything is okay. So those things also they can just inform them that you need to look at this aspect as well. Or maybe sometimes they can suggest that they need at this particular thing the feature toggle, right? So there could be lots of different viewpoints, which if it has been planned well ahead of time, when we are identifying the scenarios, writing those things, lots of values rather than going into at the end and doing a back and forth on those aspects. So what I propose in that case, that BTD actually can play a vital role in doing that collaboration among these four different teams, like BS testers. Rather than team, I would like to say groups, right, or the different roles you can say, working as a single team. That time it can play a good role. Yeah, of course. I mean, we can bring in the security, performance perspective, or lots of things. Even lots of time we need to, we are having a security groups, different security groups, which can be brought also in that particular scenario writing, or maybe that scenario identification and discovery process. And it's going to will add lots of values in that case. Okay, I will look at Raja, your question. I saw that. Yes, so let's look at a few things on this slide, and then I will look at your question. So what benefits we are going to get with all these things? So one benefit that comes immediately in my mind is it's going to break the silos. The team will not work in their silos. There are lots of information, lots of knowledge, which is there from offside, which can be used by the developers to build a good quality product, is not used because they are working in silos. Similarly, there are lots of skills available, right, from the developer side, and ops, because of their own limitation, they are not able to use that. Say for an example, they are doing lots of manual tests, right? When they have to apply the build, before that they just want to see that everything is working fine or not, or maybe some different type of test that they need to run. Could be manual, could be automated, but due to their own skill set or limitation, they are not able to. So that time dev team can play a vital role in that case. So that's what. So when these two teams work together, and it's the silos has been broken, can give you lots of benefits. Common language, that when they actually start collaborating, they find a common language when they talk about. So lots of time, if you look at the ops team use lots of different tools, lots of different terminology, right? Similarly, the dev teams also uses lots of different tools and the similar things, right? If they can start talking in the same language, that's always going to be benefited, because there won't be any ambiguity in that case. They gain knowledge on product from ops perspective, and that's very, very important, because that is where that normally the development team lacks the information. Support gain knowledge on new features by manipulating the product, because they should not get that information at the end. If they are getting it from the beginning, probably they can add lots of their perspective. And they share their tools, data, methodologies, and so on in a mutual way. Probably it can provide or maybe it can help them to add lots of values in the quality. Okay, so Raja, what your question was, what is suggested organization structure for DevOps to ensure proper collaboration and business value? I don't have that exact answer on that, because yes, it's very difficult to talk about in that case, because again, it all depends. If you have that big product, you have multiple teams working on that, multiple groups are working on that, and then you have the separate ops team dedicated. And again, lots of time we are finding that there are two different people group there also, that ops and the support, sometimes security as well. So it's all depends on what right combination we can create there. But right now, if you will ask me, I will not be able to answer these things. But yes, of course, I will look at on some of the places where it has been used, if they have come up with some numbers or data in that respect. So if you remember, I was talking about that word DevOps. So the moment I'm seeing this word like DevOps, where O is is in caps, I feel that we are trying to get two different groups together by somehow there is some gelling things, right? But still, though they are there is no other option because we are using that word DevOps, still I'm finding that the silos has not been broken. And that's why I love this word, like where O is small, it's complete one DevOps. It just looks like, yes, everything is one team, right? But again, it does not matter which word you are going to use. But my point is, if you are just using tools, right? Or if you are having like a DevOps engineer and you have the ops team separate, you have dev team separate, and you're trying to bring some of the DevOps people, like as I showed you, I have seen some of the cases also, like DevOps architect, something like a DevOps engineer. So that means we are trying to find some adhesive to make these two teams bringing closer, but again not working together, right? So if that we can bring it, probably we can get lots of. And we call them just team. That's an Evin's thought. I guess it's all maybe if we are that much mature, because now I started finding that word like SecOps. Some people started telling like DevSecOps. So if you will keep adding there that new group there, yes, of course it will be keep growing that entire word, very big word. Rather than, yes, it's a good suggestion, we can use that team. That's perfectly okay. But till the time we are not that much matured, we can use this DevOps. Why can't we say that we is a DevSecOps? So I will tell you based upon my understanding, maybe it's you can correct it or you can just correlate if you have the similar thoughts. So far that how that Agile has matured, we started telling dev team or the team, whatever, we try to incorporate all those people like architect also, testers also, test architect, tech lead, and everyone together, right? Who can add, can play some role to deliver that that product, right? So we are telling them as a one team, like dev or maybe the team, dev team or team, that is including all those. When we started bringing this ops and support also, that time only we started using this word DevOps. And again, if you remember, when I have touched upon that origin, where that Patrick has actually talking about, let me just come to that. So he has mentioned there never was a grand plan for DevOps as a word, right? So it was just like something has been started with, and people like that, and they started using this word. So no brainer, you can say. But yes, of course, we have to understand what is the intent for this what you can say, that movement. It is called as now movement as well. Lots of people talks about, because it's a cultural change, and it's as similar to that same situation when we were talking about having a single team where we will have the dev also and tester also. Of course, that time we have never thought about dev QA or business dev QA kind of. But yes, again, it's no brainer here why we have used this word. That's all for this first webinar. You have any question, anything, you can just type it. I can take it now, only the questions, and we can have a discussion. What we are planning is we just want to make sure that we should be clear about this word. We should not start with something with lots of myth. And even though in that context, right, if in future, if you will come to know that I'm talking about some tools, it does not mean I think that if that tools is there, then only the DevOps, right? It just, as I give you that same example, I want to repeat that if I have to use the TDD, probably I will try to bring some tools. That's okay. But again, as a concept, I will say that yes, we need to understand what the TDD is, right? Similarly, like BDD, if you are using Cucumber, if you are using Specflow and similar tools, does not mean that you are using BDD unless that collaboration part is missing. So if the collaboration part is there, that is very, very important, and then we can go with the tools part. So anyway, in subsequent series, we are going to touch upon the different ingredient. So if you look at from my perspective, that there are various ingredients. The first and foremost is the collaboration. Then you have that your test strategy. Then you have your automate build deployment. You can have automate provisioning, automate feedback, and in all these strategy we can have the different tools also which we can use. So those things we are going to cover. So mostly we will cover in terms of, we will try to start with that concept of those practices, and then just to understand that we can touch upon some of the tools. Krishna Prasad, he is asking, can you please quote some real-time examples in regard to the benefits of DevOps? So if you remember, that's what. So what you can achieve with the DevOps, normally we give those example where we try to say that yes, in a daily you are in that state that as soon as you are getting a change or a new feature requirement, how fast you can deliver it to the production. So that is what you can get with the DevOps. And if you will ask about that real-time example, there are lots of organizations where they are using this, and they are getting benefited. And one you have seen that when I was talking about the origin, like Flickr, right, 10 days of build, daily 10 days, 10 build in a day. So similar to that, you will find there are lots of who are getting the benefited with this. But again, you cannot relate it with different domain as well, right? So based upon that, we have to figure it out what is fast mean for us in that particular domain, and we can justify that, and we can use this. Can we just shorten that my release things, and can I make it as no event release kind of? I am getting one question from Sanjeet. If you can suggest some materials or blogs or read more about DevOps. Two books which I have mentioned, if you can get those books, it's really good because that's touching upon that core concept. Why I am emphasizing on the books, because those are the core concepts given by those thought leaders, right? And other than that, there are lots of good blogs also which we can go through with that, like Martin Fowler, one I follow regularly, that you can go through with that. Some of the good paper comes in InfoQ as well under DevOps. That also is good one which we can go through with that. And of course, in Solutions IQ also we have started, so you can look at that as well. So guys, our next session, that is upcoming webinar, we are going to touch upon the another aspect from the DevOps. So in this session we have touched upon mostly on what DevOps is and the importance of collaboration and culture change. In this upcoming session we will touch upon the test strategy, including the test pyramid, and the continuous integration, where we will be talking about two important aspects. One is trunk based development and feature toggle. We will be announcing that the date for those that webinar very soon, and we will update you through mail. Thank you.